The reason I'm calling is, first of all, I love Curtis and Lisa. I think they're great. I would like to hear what's going on with his case. It doesn't seem like he talks about it too much. If they ever caught the people that really that tried to kill him, but Rush Limbaugh, you got to do something about that. Sometimes when I listen to him, and believe me, I'm a person that I go out to work. I have 3 kids at home, but this man doesn't seem to me like he lives in this, in this world. I mean, he seems to think that people just want things to come to them, and he's not worth it. I mean, he treats all women like they're garbage, and I don't understand how you could have someone like that on the show. I love Joy and Lynn. I mean, Bob is all right sometimes, but that Rush Limbaugh, how long of a contract do you have with him?
Nellie, how do you say he treats women like garbage?
It's just the way he talks about them, the way he talks about everyone almost. I don't think this guy probably have any friends. I can't, and I don't know where he gets all these people calling and telling him ditto. I really don't understand. I mean, he doesn't like the homeless. He thinks that they want to be homeless. He doesn't like the unemployed. He thinks they want to be unemployed. And, he tells you that you do not have a right to any health insurance. I want you to know, I work very hard. I have 3 kids at home. I work because if I did not work, my kids would not be able to go to doctors. I don't want to be on Medicaid.
But Nellie, do you see ever, at least in some of the things he says, some humor, some hyperbole, some satire? Well, I mean, you don't take everything he says literal, do you?
Some of the things he says, but I just think that most of it, to tell the truth, I think he hurts people. I mean, if I was an unemployed person, I would be very hurt with what it says. If I was gay, I would hurt with what I would be hurt with what he's just homeless, anything. I don't know. I just was wondering how long of a contract you have with this guy.
Well, regret to inform you, Nellie, it's virtually forever. Oh. Thanks for the call. Craig from New Jersey, welcome.
Hello, John?
Yes.
This is John. I'm commenting about the lack of balance on your station, I mean. I've often heard you say, well, you've got Rush and Bob and Jay as opposed to Joy and Lynn and Ed, and the Slewers are kind of even. And you've said that there's a balance, but if you break down the hours on that, there is a severe lack of balance there. I mean, Grant is on for 4 solid hours, then his show's on again at night for 3.5 hours. Jay has 4 hours. Rush has 3, and Joy only has 2. Ed has 1, and Lynn, if there's not sports, we might be lucky to hear her.
Okay, now, first off, you don't have to tell me your real name, but this is not John, right?
Confirmation name is John.
Oh, okay.
It is legitimate. I was confirmed.
I know who you are, and okay, I know you're not John. Okay.
Can we speak?
We can speak.
Yes, sir.
So you're what, keeping a stopwatch and figuring equal time by minute? Is that how you're saying it?
No, simple math. It's a matter of simple math that there is not a balance on this station.
It's not simple math, John, because
look at the hours. I mean,
because John, even though say the Grand Show reruns overnight, the overnight audience is not nearly as large as a daytime audience. So you're comparing apples and oranges, okay? And the Jay Diamond Show in a much more listened to time slot is still not equal to the daytime. So during the daytime, when the largest radio audience is available, which is 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., you have the Slewers who are moderate to liberal, especially in Lisa's case. Lisa's not liberal? Right, she is, right?
No, in Lisa's case, yes.
And Joy Behar, as you said, liberal.
Yes.
Mayor Koch, liberal.
No, I'd say he's moderate.
Moderate. Or left of center. Well, moderate, okay? And then you've got Rush and Bob. It sounds pretty even to me.
I don't agree. The other point is, quickly, when the Zoe Baird case broke, Jay Diamond referred to Hispanics as wetbacks on your station, and I think
now, John, if I may call you John.
Yes.
Okay. Knowing that's not your name, but let me just, for sake of argument, call you John.
Thank you.
John, we know from all of the correspondence we've had with you that you get some things right and you take a lot of things out of context.
I have that on tape. He said wetbacks. But
how come I haven't, of all the tapes, John?
4 times he said wetbacks, and
John,
he told people to send used condoms to Reverend Jackson. I have that on tape also.
But
the guy's
John,
a hate monger. He's into torture. He talks about torturing people. Come on.
Of all the tapes you've sent us, how come if he said that, you never said it to me? I mean, knowing you, that would have been
Because
Federal
the lawyers
Express
told me not to call your station or else I'm going to be sued. Come on. John Mainelli, you are the biggest racist in this town.
That
You're a
scared
racist,
you,
John Mainelli.
and obviously
You're
what the
biggest
lawyer said
racist
to you
in
had
this
an
town.
impact.
You brought Dave Dawson, you
Because I
brought
see
Jay
you're not
Diamond,
calling
you
the
brought
station.
Rush Limbaugh. You are a racist, and I will prove it. I have an article that's going to be published very soon, and I'm going to name you. I'm going to prove by your own words, Mainelli, that you are the biggest racist in this town. Go back to Kansas City. You're stirring up racial tension and a race riot in this town. We don't need your hate mongering. And Jay Diamond is a white supremacist, racist hate monger, and I have the tapes to prove it. And he's stirring up hatred against Muslims, saying genetic, racist things against Muslims and Arabs. And a stop should be put to it. Hello?
I'm listening.
Okay.
John.
Now, I have all these things on tape, okay? You are a hate radio station. There is a movement against WABC, comprehensive movement, and we are going to send tapes to every single one of your sponsors, and we're going to drive the hate mongers off the air so that they can use their own money to purchase their own airtime to exercise their First Amendment right of free speech.
John, you're getting repetitive. Thank you very much. A comprehensive effort, a committee of one by name of John, quote unquote, from New Jersey. I hope mentioning New Jersey wasn't too specific. John, you needn't worry. From Manhattan. Hi, Anna.
Yes, Mr. Mainelli, I spoke to Bob Grant earlier this week. This is regarding Janet Reno and Jack Thompson and F. Lee Bailey, the situation that happened with them earlier. Bob Grant, to me, has an attitude problem, and I find it very difficult to tolerate after a while. And I think that this week he had a person, Jack Thompson, on calling from Florida.
Right.
And Jack Thompson was saying all these terrible things about certain people, and Bob Grant was just sort of sitting back and tolerating it and not really checking into what was going on. And I found this offensive simply because a friend of mine was dragged into this totally innocently, and I heard word of it and made some phone calls, and then the next day I heard on the radio F. Lee Bailey call, and Mr. Grant talked to F. Lee Bailey, and words were exchanged, and there was never an apology made from Mr. Grant on allowing slander and allowing some of the things that were said on the station. And I just find that sometimes I think he's full of hatred. He comes across that way.
Anna, are you a friend of the anchor woman in Florida?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Anna,
Not a friend. I worked with her years ago, and I have the utmost respect for her, and I just thought it was very unfair for her name to be dragged into this thing.
Okay, this is about all I can say on that right now, because it's now a legal matter, as you can appreciate, and I don't want to even repeat what Jack Thompson said. And
no, I don't think
you.
No.
It was said that one day, and F. Lee Bailey came on the next day to challenge those comments by Jack Thompson. They're both attorneys in Florida.
Right.
And in fact, I believe Bailey was once Thompson's attorney once upon a time, or at least that's what Thompson is claiming, because I saw a fax Thompson sent to Bailey the next day. Suffice it to say, for those listeners who did not hear that segment, comments were made about Ms. Reno that dealt with her character, her sex life. And they were acknowledged on the Hill and dismissed. And this attorney came on and repeated portions of an article he had written in a magazine, the name of which I can't remember, and Bailey called and was given time to rebut point by point everything that he said. So we're looking into it, and as far as Bob not apologizing, until we know all of the facts, I don't think we can rush to apologize just because Bailey claims one thing.
Oh, no, I understand it that way, but I had called the previous day in defense of Janet Reno, and Bob Grant, just cut me up and down one side and the other, and all I was doing was defending her and saying that there is a great group that thinks that she's done a great job, and, I didn't think it was fair for him to ridicule me because I was standing in defense of her. And then it just seemed to go downhill from there, and I just... I listen to all the talk show hosts, and I listen to Rush Limbaugh, who I don't agree with, but I think he does a great job. And he's up, and he doesn't take people and put them on the same level, I think, as Bob Grant does. And I think that's where the difference is. I
Well, there's
think
two
Bob
things
Grant
operating.
shows an attitude that
Right.
some of the others don't show, and I find that offensive.
You can't fault Bob. You must not fault Bob on him differing from Ms. Reno politically.
No,
But you had a
that's
problem,
not the
a
point.
specific problem
I have a specific
with
problem
that
with his
one
attitude.
day's phone call. We'll get to the bottom of that, and we'll report on what happened. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Anna.
Thank you.
On to Craig from New Jersey. Hi, Craig.
Hi, John. Boy, you've got a hell of a 3 callers, huh?
Well, it's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, I mean, I go through this off the air every day, so why not on the air
First,
occasionally?
I'd like to say to Nellie, just listen to Rush. He is for you, specifically for you, for people that work hard and don't want Mr. Clinton to take their money. You work very hard for your money. You deserve your money, and he is going to take it from you. Second of all, the reason I called was because, you know, we got to. It's a talk show radio station, I believe, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, I think you people have to make a designation. Do you want to be a talk show host? A talk show radio, or do you want to be a sports radio station? You know, I don't know what the numbers are, but I bet you lose a lot of listeners when. I mean, even at night with Seton Hall, wouldn't it behoove you to put another format of talk on, and then, you know, if you want to listen to sports, you got to, an all sports radio right down the dial.
Okay, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Guess what? I agree with you.
Okay.
We honor our contracts, and we have long-term contracts with several sports franchises. When they're up, we'll take a look at them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's less sports on the station now than there used to be.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Right?
Yes, totally. Yes.
And I can say now there will never be more, for sure, than there is now. Only less.
Okay, and I got one more thing. Now, I appreciate Lynn and I appreciate Joy. They are good at what they do. Politically, they are absolute morons. But I mean, when they have guests and they interview the guests, they're very good. They're very entertaining. I think what the station needs to do is to find somebody from the left, and I am not from the left, that has an intelligent point of view from the left. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that can explain their point of view, why tax spending is tax raising is good, why they didn't like Mr. Bush. I mean, you know, you hear Joy and Lynn, oh, I just don't like that man. That drives me crazy, you know. And then sometimes we have like this winter we had Lynn
Right.
for Lisa and Curtis. She was in the morning, then she was in for Bob.
And next week, by the way, she'll be in for Lisa.
Well, I don't care. That's 2 hours. I mean, that's 4 hours a day. I can take that, or 3 hours a day. I can take that. But I mean, you had her in the morning, then you had her sitting in for Joy, and then you had her in for Bob. I mean, enough of Lynn Samuels for one day. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your call.
Okay.
On that one, I don't agree with you. I think Lynn and Joy present the liberal point of view beautifully. I think they're incredibly intelligent and funny. And, you know, I must say that many of the liberal talk show hosts, and conservative too, but many of the liberal talk show hosts that have attempted to work here seem to not have the most robust of senses of humor. And a key to anyone working here is they must have a sense of humor. 440 WABC, this is John Mainelli, the program director, sitting in today for Bob Grant. And it's off to Manhattan again, and Brad. Hi, Brad.
Good afternoon, John. How are you?
Good.
I'd like to make some extremely brief, across-the-board comments on quite a few people I wrote down here. Curtis and Lisa, I think, pretty solid. Don't agree with a lot of what they say, but pretty solid morning show there. Joy, I appreciate the left's opinion, although I don't believe it myself, but I find her just silly. Just very silly and often far away from the point I think she's attempting to make.
Do you know, Brad, who doesn't find her silly these days?
Who's that?
It's remarkable what's happening to her career. She's already filmed the new Woody Allen movie, which will be out in, I guess, spring, called Manhattan Murder Mystery.
Yeah.
Fox is now using her twice a week on their Good Day New York show, which is #1 in New York in the morning. CBS used her late night to fill in for Pat Sajak.
Well, perhaps
she's under option to CBS for television, ABC for radio, that's us, but CBS for television, and she's done a couple of pilots for them. One of which I guess she played a school teacher, which she had done in real life. You know, pilots are made, only 1 out of 100 succeeds, so it doesn't mean anything against her. But she's really a rising star, not to mention her stand-up, which packs comedy clubs.
Sure. Well, perhaps her heart is elsewhere. If she's that busy, then maybe that's the problem. Rush, brilliant. A lot more egotistical than he was 3 years ago, but brilliant.
More even than then?
Absolutely.
didn't think that was
I found
possible.
him listenable 3 years ago. You know, the ironic thing is I agree with almost everything he says, but I find him unlistenable because of his ego.
I have to tell you, though, his ratings have never been higher.
I believe it.
And let's face it, if anyone was entitled to a healthy ego, you have to admit,
That's true.
this man who's killing on television, you know, he beats Letterman most nights. Did you know that?
Yeah, well...
And Nightline sometimes, and is second only to Leno in many cases. And his book is still number 1 on the bestseller list for 20 weeks. The radio show is 550 some. How they keep even? I didn't know there were that many towns to have state, but he's there, and his ratings have never been stronger.
I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'd like to just get through this very quickly because I want to touch on everybody here. Lynn Samuels is fine. Ed Koch, pretty good. Speech impediment, though. If he says one more time, I have to turn the dial. Bob Grant is a legend. Bob Grant is just solid gold, in my opinion. And I think those who attack him mostly are jealous of his brilliant use of the language and his comprehensive understanding of just his world and his environment. James and Joel, a little difficult to comprehend what they're getting to because there's usually so much going on the show, but I think they have some promise.
They do. They're new and they're learning.
Adrian is good. The sports guys you got are pretty good, except I agree with one of the other callers that, you know, it should be talk radio and we should eliminate it. It's difficult tuning in to hear your favorite talk show host when they come on half an hour late, they're preempted, etc.
Eventually that will happen.
The last thing I want to comment on is Jay Diamond. In my opinion, Jay Diamond is the best. He is solid. He is not laden with political left or right theories. He's genuine. He speaks from his heart. He's just very, very solid. He's heartwarming, and I can't say enough about Jay Diamond. I think you should eliminate the Road Watch America. That interrupts the flow of the show.
On the other hand, Brad, you know, we're a clear channel station, so at night we cover 38 states, and we kind of like, it feels good to reach out to the truckers and the long-distance commuters late at night, far away on the road. That's why we do Road Watch America.
Yeah. But I honestly can't say enough about Jay. I hope that he's around for a long time to come.
He will be. Thank you, Brad. In fact, Jay will be filling in for Bob Grant all next week here on WABC, and then a week from Monday, Bob Grant will be back. But Jay will be Bob all next week. And now it's time to go to Joe from Astoria, who, according to the screen, Joe, you're annoyed at music on the weekend?
Oh,
what music?
Well, you know, like, the chorus, first of all. You're playing the chorus far too many times.
What, you mean the jingles?
Yeah. I mean, it's really annoying.
Because, you know, we don't play music here.
Well, no, you don't play music. I
haven't played a record in, 10 years.
Okay.
So the jingles, you don't like the jingles?
Well, it's not that I don't like the jingles. It's just that you're repeating them too many times. And especially on the weekend, like Sundays. I mean, for corn's sakes, you hear, you hear these, I don't know what they are, but these people singing these songs about New York. Oh, for God's sakes, I turn it off when I hear that. I can't take it.
Well, I'll tell you why we do jingles.
I know
Joe.
you do jingles, but
well, maybe
weekend.
Let me look into. Is there any particular show where you hear them too much?
Yeah, on the weekend, like Sunday night when I listen to Koch, listen to Joy. I like everybody you have, but for God's sakes, please stop at this with these jingles. Not the jingles, but the people who are singing about, we love New York, and that woman who loves the smell of it and all. Get away from that, will you?
Okay, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you. But let me say, the reason that we do jingles as often as we do, you would be surprised at how many people can listen to the station day in and day out and still not really be aware of the call letters we get mailed to Bob Grant, care of WOR, or Curtis Sliwa, care of WMCA. You know, this is rare, but it happens often enough that we feel, because people do flip around, and we know this, and we want to make sure you know what radio station you are listening to. And that station is WABC.
I thought that was hilarious. Now, Bob has, he calls the governor a swachim. He's called President of the United States a scumbag, his wife a bitch. Why is it that Bob Grant is being muzzled with this term, men's room attendant?
I won't deny that we have asked Bob not to call him the men's room attendant.
Why?
I agree with you that the origin of the term was humorous and not racial in nature. But it kept being used so much by callers that it seemed to imply to many people stereotypes. And it just didn't seem worth that misconception. It made the mayor very angry. He took it very personally.
Yes, but what about people of Italian descent when Bob uses all these when he uses sort of anti-Italian terminology against the governor? Why is there a double standard with African Americans and Italian Americans?
Well, he doesn't call just Italians spacims and gavons. I mean, he calls everybody that. He happens to also call Governor Cuomo that. I mean, he applies that Italian term to all kinds of people. Mm-hmm. He doesn't call the governor a pizza tosser, or whatever might be considered, an Italian slur. So since it was seen by so many, it wasn't meant to be racial in nature, but since it was seen by many to be, it became bigger than it was, and we asked Bob if he would stop using it, and he did.
Do you know, John, I was in the Waldorf Astoria yesterday in the men's room, and there was a white men's room attendant there, so it's really not a racial
No, I know that. And we know that,
okay.
but it took on such a proportion, and it was misunderstood by so many. He'd said it, enough times to have the impact. We didn't think it was worth. I also asked him if he wouldn't mind not calling the president scumbag, because I don't think that's a proper term. I think he'll probably still do it again if he feels like it, but I don't think any president, should be called scumbag.
Okay, last question I have. Ed Koch's pacing. Why is Ed Koch the one talk show host that does not let the caller talk? You get one sentence in and he goes on and on and on.
Well, that's Ed. As one of the columnists said when his show started, they asked what the format was going to be, and the columnist wrote that Ed would start the show with a monologue, and if there's any time left over, he'd take phone calls. That's Ed. That's the mayor. That's Ed Koch.
Oh, it's all his doing.
Well, of course, it's his show. He runs it how he wants. No, he does let people talk. You have to admit, maybe not as much as they would like.
No,
but
I've been on many times, and he's just cut you right off. And you know what he does? He cuts you off, and then he says, "What do you say about that?" And then he says, "Gone." It's so hypocritical. You're not even on there when he says, "What do you say about that?"
Well, that's not good if that happens, and I'll look into that. Bobby from the Bronx. Hi, Bobby.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Mainelli. First of all, I want to tell you, I'm a liberal, but I love Bob Grant, I love Jay Diamond, I love most of the hosts you have on the show. I think you're doing a fantastic job as a program director. You're not Bob Grant's or Jay Diamond's father. I don't know why everyone's complaining about these guys. I mean, people make the world go round. It's different opinions that make life interesting.
That's for sure.
The only thing that I have a problem with on this radio station is the sports, and I already heard you say that, it's a contractual thing, and once it's over, then you'll take a look at it.
Right.
But I'm going to make a prediction for you, and my prediction is that Rush Limbaugh will go the way of Morton Downey Jr. and Pet Rocks in the 70s.
I doubt that strongly, Bobby. You know why?
Why's that?
Morton Downey lasted, 1 year on TV?
Yeah.
Pet Rocks lasted about, 1 month? Rush Limbaugh.
The guy became a millionaire.
I'm proud to be a factor in bringing him to New York from Sacramento on July 4th, 1988. That's his first broadcast.
But you want to...
We're almost up to July 4th, 1993, which is 5 years. His ratings and popularity have never been higher.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this. I became a Rush Limbaugh fan around that time because I had a job where I can listen to the radio. I heard this guy. I thought he was fantastic. But since he has the same shtick, and I know a lot of the stuff he does is shtick and he doesn't even believe it. It's marketing stuff. Since he does the same shtick over and over and over again, he seems to be a little over-pompous sometimes, and it gets to grate on the nerves once in a while, so I don't listen to him anymore. Bob, on the other hand, you never know what Bob is really going to say. Even if he reacts angrily, he's very intelligent, he's very spontaneous, and it shows. He's a much more talented guy than Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh just has one MO when he talks on the radio, and I think it's going to wear thin once the audience peaks out in America.
Thank you, Bobby.
So, thank you, John.
But I have to tell you, it hasn't worn out yet.
Dylan, I have two questions. First of all, has WABC ever considered obtaining an 800 phone number for the callers?
Yes, and I get this question every time I come on. It would cost us about $500,000 a year to do it.
Oh, it would.
Now, when we get a little more famous and rich, and we're already America's most listened to talk station, but when the money starts to pour in to the degree to pay for this hugely expensive kind of a station,
Yeah.
You know, we have producers, screeners, engineers, news people, talk show hosts. I mean, these are big stars who work here. They make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a few DJs throwing a record into a machine. It costs a lot of money to run this station. When we really get rolling with the money, we'll take a look at that. We would like to do that.
And one other question. During the overnight period after Jay Diamond, I always hear the recordings of Bob Grant and Joy Behar at Koch. I mean, I like to hear like live talk show hosts, it seems, and I think other people feel the same way, which I talk to. I mean, I realize it would cost you more money to hire a host, but I'm sure aren't there hosts out there who would like probably work for virtually nothing just to get on the radio?
Well, first of all, indeed, you're right. There are people who would not only work for nothing, but that would be happy to pay us.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a union shop that we have. AFTRA is for the air people, and we would have to pay a not insignificant amount of money to anybody. Our goal is to have live programming eventually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I must tell you, a lot of people enjoy that Bob Grant rerun, especially people in outlying areas when our signal goes so far at night, which it does, more so than in the daytime, or they didn't miss him, catch him that afternoon, or they did, and they even want to hear it again. And, you know, weekend nights, Joy Behar's tape runs, and Sunday night, the Best of Mayor Koch runs. So, you know, those shows have a lot of fans, but our goal eventually is live talk 24 hours a day. Okay, thanks a lot, Kyle. On to Gloria from Long Island. Hi, Gloria.
Hi, John. I want to tell you, I think you have the best programming around. And I hope it improves with 24-hour talk show.
Thank you.
Also, my question is, John, you have 3 women who are on talk shows. Why isn't it possible to have one conservative or at least a moderate voice for women on the
Such
show?
as? Do you have an example?
Well, that's just it. I don't know what talk. You know something? So many of the women are liberal that I know it's hard to find one who's a talk show host who is the conservative, or at least a moderate view.
We've tried to get Phyllis Schlafly, who's conservative, to fill in now and then, but when we've had a slot open, she has not been able to fit it into her schedule.
It's a shame because I think she would be a good one. At least she's one that I know of. I really don't know of any, but since you're in the business, I thought maybe you knew somebody.
We had Myrtle Whitmore fill in for Bob Grant a while back. She's conservative.
She was wonderful. And you know, Joy had mentioned that you were looking around for a voice for minorities, and she had mentioned someone. But you know, you have James and Joel, and I think they're great. I appreciate them. I wish I could hear them more often. And Myrtle would be a perfect example. I have one in mind that I don't know, it'd be a real coup if you could get him when he retires, and that's Colin Powell, if he'd come back to New York.
Well, he'd be terrific, but you know, when Colin Powell retires, Ford Motor Company is going to want him to be their president. He is in the giant leagues, and I don't think we'll be able to pin him down to do a daily talk show.
Has he already taken up their offer? Because he's a very dedicated person, and I don't know. I just think he'd be marvelous.
Well, I use Ford, you know, as an example. I mean, you know, he can write his own ticket. There's no question about it.
I know.
And he'll be on the road. He won't be able to be tied down. But thank you, Gloria.
All right, thank you, John.
Thanks very much. We're on WABC.
Hi, I missed most of the show, but I did hear your opening remarks, and I think you're using such specious reasoning in regarding a caller who called in and looked at the breakdown as far as balance goes with your stations. 6 to 9 is a wash because Curtis and Lisa they offset each other. 9 to 12, it's the left side. Okay, it's Joy and Mayor Koch. So then that's 3 hours total versus 7 hours from 12 to 7. So
how about Lynn Samuels on the weekend?
Well, I'm just talking. I'm repeating I'm thinking along what you said. You said that the most important hours are 9 to 7 drive time or something like that. You said.
Yeah, but weekend daytimes, because the hours I said that were not quite as important were nights and overnights, and weekend nights. But weekend daytime is as big an audience for radio as is during the week, and that's when Lynn's on.
Well, you know, that's another thing too, as far as women goes. I mean, Lynn Samuels and Joy. I like Joy. Lynn leaves me cold, but Lynn, they have such horrible voices. I mean, it's almost like an affront to women too. I mean, it's almost like it's a parody of women. Like you really don't have women on your station representing women's view outside of Joy.
Do you know, by the way, Barbara, that this station has more women doing talk than any other talk station in the country by far.
Well, I can buy that, but...
And I find their voices charming and distinct, but I must admit, we get a lot of criticisms about their voices, especially Lynn's.
Well, I don't want to belabor that. That isn't all that important. I was just an aside. But with respect to your comment, also, somebody said that Rush Limbaugh, who, is odious. I don't know how you get away with having him back-to-back with Bob Grant. I don't know how your license gets renewed at your... This is a man who attacks the unemployed. He attacks the homeless. He hates animals, gays. I mean, absolutely.
No, he doesn't hate animals. He doesn't hate gays.
But, and then, you know what your response was when somebody said that? He said, well, you don't really, it's like a put-on. I mean...
No, I didn't mean to imply that it's a put-on. I said it's done satirically, and some of it's done tongue-in-cheek.
So
his views are his views, and those are genuine. But to say that he hates animals, or to draw from it that he hates gays, is simply not true.
He's constantly on the attack, and to say that, well, it's satiric, therefore it's okay, that concerns me. Now I understand why your station is set up the way it is, because so you can go and pull a bank heist and say, oh, well, I was doing it tongue-in-cheek, I didn't really mean it, but you're shot dead anyhow.
If we did pull a bank heist, maybe we could afford 800 lines. Sorry, I didn't mean to be flip.